Hey friends! My name is Desiree, aka Momma Friendly, and I do all sorts of videos on my channel, from cooking videos to planner videos, vlogs, hauls, homeschool videos with a Disney twist, a little bit of everything. So if any of that sounds like fun to you, I hope that you'll subscribe and join me on my YouTube adventure. For the last couple of years, we've been doing Disney homeschool themed videos around Disney movies, characters, or rides. This year, I decided to change things up and we're still doing Disney themed homeschooling, but we're going to be centering our lessons around the Epcot World Showcase. I thought this would be a great theme to base our lessons on because it gives us so much opportunity for different branches of learning. Obviously, we're learning about geography. We're going to learn about each of the different countries' languages and traditions and culture, how people live there as opposed to how we live. So we've got social studies thrown in the mix as well. I'm of course throwing in a lot of life skills. So cooking has always been an important part of our homeschool series, and we're going to aim to create an authentic recipe every single time that has to do with the country or traditions that we're studying. And of course, from a sensory perspective, I love including art projects in our theming, so every video is going to include at least 1 or 2 different art projects. Something else to consider is that my child is on the autism spectrum. He has nonverbal autism, and so we're going to be tailoring the activities obviously to his level because he is the child that I am teaching. You can of course feel free to tailor these activities to whatever developmental or educational level makes sense for the kiddos that you're teaching. I'm going to do my best to include resources and activities in a Pinterest board that pertains to each and every theme. So all of these videos are going to have a Pinterest board linked in the description box so you could check it out. This will give you some ideas for activities that we didn't get to cover in the video, or even ideas for taking the activities we did do and tweaking them to fit kiddos of different ages or different abilities. One big consideration that I wanted to make before jumping into this particular string of themed videos is that I wanted to make sure to approach this from a place of cultural appreciation and not appropriation. I want to be able to respect the people and the traditions of these countries without resorting to tropes. That being said, we're going to try to be as authentic as possible in all of our facts, in all of our art activities, especially in all of our recipes. I'm going to try my best to outsource this information from people native to the countries that we're studying wherever I'm able. So now that I've explained a little bit about what we're trying to do here, let's jump into the country for this month. This month, we decided to study the next country in the World Showcase, and that is Italy. Italy has so many amazing festivals that we learned about, including Carnival, which is happening right now in February. There's also something called La Quintana, which is a medieval jousting tournament in a city called Ascoli Piceno. There's also a festival called Di Sfida de Fivizzano. I might be mispronouncing that, but it is an archery contest that's held in northern Tuscany every year. People dress up in period pieces, there's arts and crafts. It's like a large Renaissance festival, but where the Renaissance actually happened. It looks like loads of fun. As always, we're watching our favorite 4K WDW, the best channel for tours of all things Walt Disney World. And of course, this time we're watching his tour of the Italy Pavilion in Epcot. There are so many amazing restaurants at this pavilion. Of course, the views are incredible, but that goes without saying. Disney pays attention to architecture and detail like no one else. You can see that there's apparently some sort of a festival going on right now because there's a booth right outside of the pavilion that's also selling food. Look at this. See, the architecture is just out of hand. You're not going to see anything like this anywhere besides Italy, I'm sure. Something else that's usually featured off over here in this corner is a topiary of Lady and the Tramp. You might think that's a bit of an odd match for Italy, but the reason that it's featured at this pavilion is because Lady and the Tramp have their famous spaghetti eating scene at a restaurant called Tony's that happens to be Italian. And actually, fun fact, there is a Tony's restaurant which serves Italian food on Main Street in the Magic Kingdom. And you can see the Lady and the Tramp's paw prints right outside the door if you look down. Oh, there's a topiary right back there. You see that right in the center? We actually did a video already on Lady and the Tramp for my Disney Homeschool series, and it of course included a delicious spaghetti and meatball recipe, so I'll post that in the corner in case you haven't seen it yet. They have a KidCot Fun Stop here, and KidCot is something that every pavilion features. They all have different activities or scavenger hunts that you can do in each of the countries. A great extension actually for your homeschooling. As always, definitely recommend you check out these tours as part of your unit study. It's the next closest thing to being there in person. Full disclosure, literally daily, and I'm saying this without exaggeration, literally daily, at least 2 or 3 times a day, we watch Disney ride-throughs. Like, we watch them all day long. Every spare moment we get, if you walk past the TV in our living room, there's probably a Disney ride-through video on the screen. So I wanted to pop in real quick and remind you all that there are loads and loads of different people posting ride-throughs online, and Spaceship Earth is such a great educational ride. So if you don't get the chance to ride it as often as you'd like, which same, this is a great way to slow down. You could actually pause it and talk about each of the scenes. The ride discusses different countries, different eras, and their contribution in history, particularly when it comes to communication, books, ways that we have documented our history as a species, as the humankind. And so I think that it's worth including in this playlist. It's worth including probably every time that you study a different country in the Epcot World Showcase, because there is so much information to be gathered here and so many different topics that you can discuss just off of this one ride. So this is also from 4K WDW, and I'm gonna have this specific video linked in a playlist down below as well. Alright friends, first things first. As always, there's background noise going on. Specifically right now, my son is watching a video on YouTube of somebody riding the Carousel of Progress. When I tell you that we are Disney World superfans, I am not kidding. But today, speaking of, we're going to be making our Zeppoles. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. This is a dessert that you can get at the Italy Pavilion at Epcot, and I am using my unofficial Disney Parks Epcot cookbook for this recipe. So if you'd like to get one of these for your very own, I'm going to have it linked down below in the description box. Now, as usual, I'm going to be making our version gluten and dairy free because that's how we eat, but I'm also going to let you know the traditional ingredients so that if you do not have dietary restrictions, you can make them just how they make them at the park. So Zeppoles are basically Italy's version of a donut, not to oversimplify, but that's kind of what I'm doing. So it's going to be a fried sweet dough ball. As such, we're going to need 48 ounces of vegetable oil to fry in. I don't know if that's exactly what I've got, but we're going to use what we have here. I also need 1 cup of all-purpose flour. I'm going to be using my favorite gluten-free flour here. 2 teaspoons of baking powder, a ½ teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of granulated sugar, 2 large eggs, a cup of ricotta cheese. I'm using the Kite Hill variety because it's almond milk based instead of milk based, but you can use whatever you'd like. A ½ teaspoon of vanilla extract, and lastly we're going to need 2 tablespoons of confectioner's sugar to dust on top of our finished Zeppoles. I have powdered sugar. The only difference between them is that confectioner's sugar tends to have cornstarch in it, but since it's just for dusting and we're not actually cooking with it, it really doesn't matter, so just use whatever you have on hand. This is meant to make 3 servings, so first thing we're going to do is heat our oil in a large pot over medium-high heat. If you have a candy thermometer, the temperature we're looking for is 375 Fahrenheit. I'm also going to line a plate with paper towels so that as the Zeppoles come out of the oil, I can drain them. Now in a medium bowl, I'm going to mix my flour, baking powder, salt, granulated sugar, eggs, ricotta, and vanilla. To make this a little easier, you can dip a cookie scoop into the hot oil and then scoop the dough from the bowl. We're going to gently drop 3 to 4 balls at a time into the hot oil. Depending on the size, you're gonna want them to fry 2 to 4 minutes until they're golden brown. Once they've reached the color we like, we're gonna take them out, drain them on our prepared plate here, and repeat with the remaining dough. Super easy, right? Make sure you're using parental supervision while frying, of course, because it could be dangerous, but that's all it takes. To serve, we're gonna put our Zeppoles on a plate, dust them with our confectioner's sugar, and enjoy them while they're hot. Here's something very interesting that I was not aware of before we started studying Italy this month. Apparently, the Roman Emperor Nero was the first to use a type of eyeglass to help his vision. Apparently, like most new advances in science, etc., a lot of people at first were really skeptical and did not want to accept these vision aids. But eventually they came around because they realized they were so useful and they helped so many people see so much better. We're doing a project out of our handy dandy global art book. I always have this linked down below in the description box of all of my homeschool videos. And today we're going to be decorating our very own fun glasses. So this is going to be super simple. I have these cardboard glasses shapes, and there's all sorts of funky shapes here. This brings 12 pieces. I'll have this linked below as well, along with this giant thing. This is definitely not necessary. Neither is this really. If you wanted to, you can just find a template online and just cut glasses out of construction paper, for example. But this big old thing, it looks like a fishing, like a tackle box, but it just brings every sort of kind of decoration that you can imagine, from buttons to beads to pipe cleaners to stickers, pom-poms. So if you're gonna have one thing in your arts and crafts arsenal, I think this should be the thing because it's extremely thorough. It also brings some craft scissors, some safety scissors. Like I said, all sorts of different kinds of pipe cleaners and like paper, tissue paper, craft sticks. So I'm going to let my son go wild with his glasses, his bottle of glue, because gluing things is his absolute favorite. And he's probably going to enjoy these gem stickers as well, maybe the pom-poms. I'm just going to let him go wild and decorate to his heart's content. Super simple art project this month, but one that he's going to have a lot of fun with. He's going to get to be creative, and he's going to get to practice his fine motor skills with the gluing and the picking up all of these fun little things to put on the glasses. Alright friends, that's going to do it for our Italian World Showcase study. As you can see, the glasses turned out pretty nicely, if I do say so myself. That activity was a lot of fun. As you saw, it was a very low pressure activity. It didn't matter if you did things right or wrong. It was just about expressing yourself, and I really appreciated that. And I think my son did too. For that recipe, I was blown away at how easy it was to make. And it was actually really yummy. The donuts had a good texture to them, and they had almost like a tanginess that came from that ricotta. It was very interesting. I've never had actual Zeppoles, assuming I'm pronouncing that right, so I can't really compare, but I thought that they were really tasty. And again, I'm always sort of intimidated by the idea of actually frying dough, but this was a lot simpler than I thought it might be. I hope you all are enjoying our trip around the world showcase so far. We're almost halfway through. Remember, I have Pinterest boards and articles and videos and all sorts of fun things linked in the description box of all of these videos so that you can branch out and see even more of the stuff that there is to learn about each of these countries. Our next country in the World Showcase is the United States, so I hope that I will see you then. In the meantime, I want to thank you so much for being here and watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, I hope you'll please give it a big thumbs up. I'd also love it if you'd subscribe and click that notification bell because I post at least 3 times a week, and I wouldn't want you to miss a minute. Thanks so much again for watching. See you real soon!